I'm joined now by Nebraska's Dan Osborn. Dan ran an insurgent campaign in the last election cycle against Deb Fischer. It was one of the most watched campaigns in the entire election cycle. Dan, you have an announcement that you'd like to share right now. The floor is yours.
Okay, we are going to be running against incumbent Nebraska Senator Pete Ricketts in 2026. We're making it official. We had an exploratory campaign launched, and yeah, we're gonna hit the ground running. And this time's going to be a little bit different. I'm not gonna be able to do the sneak attack, fly under the radar, as it
Yeah.
will. But we're starting off from a really strong place. Like we were learning how to build the plane as we were learning how to fly it in 24. And now it's all built. We're tried and true, and we're ready to go.
And so that's what I want to dig into a little bit here, because obviously, these offensive opportunities where there are these really entrenched Republicans prove to be difficult ground for anybody who's not a Republican. And so how will this race be different from your race against Deb Fischer back in 24?
Well, it's not going to be a whole lot different. It's still grassroots. We did 200 public events, advertised events out in Nebraska. I want to do 300. It's going to be old-fashioned politics. Go out, go to a different town, different county, multiple towns per day. Just get out and meet people where they're at and talk to them, listen to them, hear what's important to them. And I take a little bit of something from every town hall that we do, and then we move on to the next one. And we usually end up in a brewery where we have a beer and we just talk politics.
Dan, Pete Ricketts, the Republican incumbent in this race, did vote for the budget bill. To what extent is this going to have an impact on folks in Nebraska, whether it's with regard to food assistance, Medicaid cuts, energy jobs, or on and on?
Certainly, energy is on the chopping block since you mentioned that last. I'm very concerned. This is a huge ag state. Certainly, small family farmers and ranchers are going to be impacted negatively. Uh, they're going to be consolidated by corporate farms and ranches. This is already happening. It's going to happen at an accelerated pace. And that causes a lot of different issues, right? I mean, these folks live off the land, or they live on the land that they're farming and ranching. They drink the water. And when you have corporate entities move in, they are not as concerned with, let's say, the Ogallala aquifer and fresh water. And it's a people problem too, right? You're gonna have families that are gonna be displaced and trying to figure themselves out. So that's certainly one aspect of this I'm gonna be watching closely.
What about healthcare in your state? Do you have any sense of what the Medicaid situation looks like, what the healthcare situation more broadly looks like in the state, how it'll be negatively impacted by virtue of the fact that the Republican senators who are currently in office decided to go ahead and vote for this to really just kowtow to the whims of Donald Trump, as opposed to doing what's best for the constituents?
Yeah, we've already had a rural hospital close. There's six of them on the chopping block. We have tens of thousands of people on Medicaid that rely on it. And this is going to be at the expense of the little person for tax breaks for the billionaires.
Yeah.
Got a huge problem with that. They don't need any more help. So it's going to be everyday, regular, hardworking people that are going to struggle from this.
We had Trump himself, we had all of these Republican senators, all of these Republican members of Congress come out and assure everyone that they wouldn't touch Medicaid, that they wouldn't touch healthcare, that they would focus on, they all ran populist campaigns, right? They said that they would focus on the cost of groceries, of eggs, of housing, of rent. And yet, what do you make of the fact that the first thing they did when they were able to actually exercise power in office was to basically offer a massive handout to the wealthiest Americans while screwing over the little guy, to your exact point, while not doing anything to make sure that prices go down? In fact, we're seeing prices go up as the result of these tariffs.
Well, you nailed it right there. They're helping out the wealthiest Americans, and those are the folks that can afford to bankroll a campaign. And so these that's the broad stroke message of Osborne 2026 is trying to get the money out of politics, trying to get it so these guys can't buy senators and congressmen and carve up the country for themselves at the expense of all of us. I don't know how to say it any more plain than that. That's where we're at. That's what I'm fighting for. That's my message. I think Pete Ricketts embodies everything that I just said, and that's why we're going to go after him.
Dan, we've spoken about this before, but I'm curious what your take is on this. You know, when you're dealing with a state that is a longstanding Republican state, for a lot of folks out there, their political affiliation is so intertwined with their identity. It's who they are. And so for these people who may have voted Republican their entire lives, and for whom just seeing an R next to somebody's name is often enough, how do you get through to them? How do you get through to those people to make them kind of shed a major aspect of their identity and say, okay, you know what, I have a permission structure right now to vote for somebody who is not a Republican, but rather, somebody like you.
Yeah, it's again, it's going to be being an effective messenger, going out to where they're at, listening to them. Uh, Party affiliation doesn't matter to me. I want to hear, where how you got to where you're at in life, what kind of issues are important to you, and for most Americans. If you watch the news, you think we're all operating from the end zones, when in fact, I think most people are within the 40-yard lines here, either center right or center left. Uh, but you're absolutely right. Party identification is pretty big, especially in the rural part of Nebraska. But it's going to be my job to go out there and talk to them, listen to them, and let them know I want to get back to the way the framers of the Constitution intended this all to be, a government by and for the people. And right now, it's a government for the 1% and the corporations. And I have to be effective at getting that message out to them, and hopefully they'll listen.
The last time we spoke, you had launched your exploratory committee. And so in these last couple of months, and a lot has happened these last couple of months as far as politics has been concerned, but what has been the most resonant messages? What have been the most resonant conversations that you've had with folks across your state?
Yeah, I would say, every time I have a town hall, insurance always gets brought up. The fact that they don't have access to health care that their family can afford. And, that's something, again, that's monopoly laws, right? That's going after these huge insurance companies, antitrust, and allowing competition to emerge from it. That's something we need to be focused on. I think that's how we partially solve the healthcare problem and getting families access to affordable healthcare. And then you have people are very concerned about education. People are concerned about not being able to afford to go to work because they can't afford childcare while they're working. These are issues that we have to be focused on. And handing out tax cuts to billionaires isn't solving these problems for anyone.
Yeah. Dan, for folks who are looking to help your campaign, where can they go?
Yeah, they can go to osbornforsenate.com. That's Osborn with no E, for Senate.com. And, everything, our average donation in 24 was $37. So it was truly powered by the people. So that $5, $10 goes a heck of a lot farther than you'd think.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time today, and best of luck on the campaign trail. Congratulations on the announcement.
Thank you. Appreciate you.